to this, and as this says, as the video intro showed, the history of WrestleMania, because I don't think most of you even know the history of WrestleMania. I think you just believe the history of WrestleMania that WWE feeds you and you accept that as fact. I really do, because there's this misconception out there that like this year's WrestleMania, last year's WrestleMania, didn't live up to WrestleMania standards. So let me explain to you guys what WrestleMania standards really is. So you have this that it's the best wrestlers taking on the best wrestlers. It's all the titles being defended. It's, you know, tradition. The world title is always in the main event. Bullshit. You know, everything is just this great, wonderfully thought out, beautiful thing. Let me explain to you what WrestleMania really is. WrestleMania is a one-match show. The history of WrestleMania shows the majority of WrestleManias have been one-match shows. That's the truth. Some don't even have that. Some are just garbage that you don't even want to watch, to be completely honest. It's amazing to me that some of you just, I guess you just believe because you've only been watching WrestleMania since, I guess, 2000, I guess, because nothing before 2000 was that great either. You know, I'm just going to go through, I'm going to give you some thoughts on WrestleManias. I'm just going to run through here. I'm going to give you some thoughts on what I think of WrestleMania. WrestleMania 1. WrestleMania 1, the one that started all. People go, oh, it's the one. It was great. WrestleMania 1 wasn't great. WrestleMania 1 was actually kind of crappy, to be completely honest. It was a great spectacle in and of itself, but it wasn't even as good as most house shows at the time, to be completely honest. You could go to a house show and see better stuff than WrestleMania was, and WrestleMania was on closed circuit television, so in a way it was, you know, a house show, but, you know, that's basically what WrestleMania 1. WrestleMania 2, most people will tell you, and most people who actually have any sense of dignity about them will tell you WrestleMania 2 was crap, and it was crap. It was garbage. It you know, there was one match on here that was good, but everything else on here just wasn't very good, and you know, the stuff that was good wasn't good enough to take over, you know, the stuff that was really bad. Piper versus Mr. T, you know, pretty much negates Brutus Beefcake and Greg Valentine versus the British Bulldogs. It just does. It's just, that's just kind of the way it is. WrestleMania 3. WrestleMania 3, great WrestleMania. I think this is the WrestleMania most people look at and go, ooh, this is what WrestleManias should be. And by all means, you're right. You had Hogan versus Andre, which isn't a great match, but all of the energy, all the passion that was behind that match, all the build-up. And of course, you have Randy Savage versus Ricky Steamboat, who went out there and stole the show. You also have Rowdy Piper and Adrian Adonis, which was probably a very good match. The Can-Am Connection and Magnificent Morocco and Bob Orton also put on a pretty good little match. You had Hercules versus Billy Jack Hayes, which was actually a pretty good power match back in the day. I mean, this was a good pay-per-view in my mind. Then you had WrestleMania 4. And WrestleMania 4, I would still say this is another one of those, you know, this is what you guys think of what WrestleMania should be, though none of the matches were really all that great, but the overall spectacle of the show was really good. Due to time constraints in the tournament, you know, things just weren't as good as they should have been. But it was still a good show. Now WrestleMania 5. I honestly, as a show, do not like WrestleMania 5. WrestleMania 5 has Hogan versus Savage. And Hogan versus Savage is a big freaking deal. No doubt about that. But there's nothing else on this card which you would say, wow, you need to go out and see. So again, you don't have your WrestleMania, you know, quality that some of you state that WrestleMania should have. Now you have WrestleMania 6. And WrestleMania 6, I will give you, because you had Hogan versus Ultimate Warrior, which had more hype, more energy, more everything than Hogan versus Savage did. No question about that. You also had the Rockers with the Orient Express, which was a pretty good little match, and Mr. Perfect versus Brutus Beefcake, which was also a pretty good little match. So I'll give you, you know, borderline, you know, I'll give you that, though it's still a one-match show. Then you get to WrestleMania 7. WrestleMania 7 was horrible. Horrible. Except for Randy Savage versus Ultimate Warrior. That's the only match on here that was any good. It was even close to being good. I mean, it was, and that was a great match. Then we had WrestleMania 8. Okay, P.S. Powers in his video talked about WrestleMania 8. He failed to mention that he talked about, oh, you know, you had a triple threat match in the main event, and no one wants that. You know, we want tradition, we want this, we want that. Okay, WrestleMania 8. WrestleMania 8, the main event. the title match, which everyone would think should be the main event, Randy Savage versus Ric Flair, was in the middle of the card. After Randy Savage and Ric Flair went on, you had Tatanka and Rick Martel, Money Inc. and the Natural Disasters, Owen Hart and Skinner, and then you had Hulk Hogan versus Sid Vicious. Yeah, sorry. WrestleMania 9. Do we really need to talk about WrestleMania 9? WrestleMania 10. WrestleMania 10 is a good show because you have Bret Hart versus Owen Hart, you had Shawn Michaels versus Razor Ramon. Right there, that is probably what you would consider, WrestleMania worthy right there. WrestleMania 11. Nope, sorry. WrestleMania 12. I don't like this pay-per-view. I know people love and bash, go, oh, Bret Hart versus Shawn Michaels 1 hour. It's overrated in my opinion. It's completely overrated. It's not even a very good 1 hour match in my opinion. It's okay, except that they did way too many rest holds. It was pretty boring, to be completely honest, even for an hour-long match. And I like hour-long matches, and because they were doing the same things over and over again. It just didn't work. WrestleMania 13. Again, a one-match show. You have Bret Hart versus Steve Austin. That's it. Everything else on this show, I mean, you have the street fight with the Legion of Doom and Farouk, with Nation of Domination. But that's it, and the Legion of Doom and Ahmed Johnson. But that's pretty much it. Then you have WrestleMania 14. WrestleMania 14, yes, this is where the Steve Austin era began. But you go back and look at the show. Overall, this wasn't a good show. This was an okay show. It wasn't a WrestleMania worthy show. WrestleMania 15. Oh, hell no. Yes, it's Steve Austin and Rock, but other than Steve Austin and Rock, there is nothing else on this that would make you go, let's go watch this. This is not WrestleMania worthy. WrestleMania 16. Again, not worthy of WrestleMania. You basically just have the Dudley Boys, Edge and Christian, and the Hardys, and the triple threat, and the three-way, and that's it. That's all that was really in this. Then you have WrestleMania 17. This is where I think most of you start to say, hey, this is what WrestleMania should be, because this is what WrestleMania should be. WrestleMania 18. WrestleMania 18 is not as good. WrestleMania 18 is still not a worthy WrestleMania. WrestleMania 19, yes. And this is where I think you guys fall into this trap. WrestleMania 19, WrestleMania 20, yes. Then we go to 21. WrestleMania 21, was okay. I mean, I shouldn't say that. WrestleMania was good because you had Shawn Michaels and Kurt Angle, and you had the Ladder in the Bank, and you had Rey Mysterio versus Eddie Guerrero. All of those were good matches, without a doubt. And you also had Randy Orton versus Undertaker. So this, again, except your main event was Triple H and Batista, not very good. Didn't really deliver. So yes, this you could say was WrestleMania worthy. Then you had WrestleMania 22, and I would make this WrestleMania worthy. Why? You had the Ladder in the Bank. Okay. You had Shawn Michaels versus Vince McMahon. That was good. You had Rey Mysterio, Kurt Angle, and Randy Orton. That was good. And as much if you don't want to admit it, John Cena versus Triple H, while not great, was at least good. There was enough good and great. Oh, you had Mick Foley versus Edge. There was enough great on this. You had two great matches. You had enough good matches. This is WrestleMania worthy. And then we go to the last year. We had the Ladder in the Bank. You had Batista versus Undertaker. You had John Cena versus Shawn Michaels. You had three great matches. You had Bobby Lashley versus Wrestlemania, which did deliver as much as most of you don't want to admit that it delivered. And you had Chris Benoit versus MVP, which again was very good. So there you go. Yeah, I don't understand where you guys, and is this card any worse than last year's card? Not really. I mean, in fact, you probably have, if you throw in the Big Show match, you probably have another fairly decent match that should be entertaining and actually be more entertaining than the Lashley match from last year. So I don't get it. I don't get where you guys get off with this. Oh, this is not WrestleMania worthy. I just went through these. Most of these, go back and look. Most of these WrestleManias are horrible. The ones that some of these are just downright pathetic excuses for pay-per-views, let alone big matches. I mean, I don't get it. I wish someone would explain this to me. I don't think I ever will get it after a year being on here. That's all. I'm done. Later.